Hello everyone, welcome to Sammarillion. Today I'm gonna talk to you guys about the new Naked Gun movie. A movie that went through 30 years of development hell, several cast and crew changes, and managed to come out as a surprisingly appropriate legacy sequel to the beloved trilogy. This was a movie that had me hooked from its first trailer. I ignored the cries of humiliation ritual and took the trailer for what it was. Clearly very modern in its look and feel, but definitely reminiscent of the old Naked Gun movies. I liked the original Naked Gun movies. It's actually on my list of hilarious movies I can't watch with my parents, but will show to my kids one day. I'm working on the name of that list. And the sequels were just as good in my opinion. What's really amazing about the original trilogy is that it's gotten funnier over time. I already said that it stands out against its contemporaries, but against modern comedies, Naked Gun knocks every single one out of the park. There's also the added dark comedy of seeing O.J. Simpson in these movies before he definitely did not kill his ex-wife and her boyfriend. Definitely did not. It's even referenced in a new movie. It's one of the quieter gags, but it's absolutely hilarious. That whole scene where everyone in the department is kneeling and weeping to their dads who were also in Police Squad 40 years ago was great. It's a fine introduction of Frank Drebin Jr. as well, who asks his dad to send an owl if he's proud of him. But did you know this movie wasn't originally going to be about Frank Jr.? After the final insult, the Naked Gun series stayed quiet for 15 years. In 2009, an official sequel was announced for TV, starring the man himself, Leslie Nielsen, reprising his role as Frank Drebin. This movie would have followed Drebin as he tried to train a new recruit. The writer, Alan Spencer, took it on as a rescue project to make sure a Naked Gun sequel wouldn't be a dumpster fire. His script was so good, in fact, that it was almost produced as a feature film, but pressure from the original Naked Gun writers, David Zucker, Jerry Zucker, and Jim Abrahams, along with budget restraints, got it canned. While Spencer wanted Nielsen to be a major character in the film, Paramount said it wasn't in the budget. They reduced Nielsen's role to a cameo, and then wrote him out of the movie altogether. Frustrated, Spencer quit and Nielsen died. Rest in peace. In 2013, a reboot of The Naked Gun was announced, though it was being written as more of a sequel that didn't have the original characters. Titled Episode 4, A New Hope. Ed Helms, known as Andy from The Office and one of the friends in Tag and one of the guys from The Hangover, was cast as Frank Drebin, no relation. The goal was to introduce a new main character without erasing the original trilogy. David Zucker was offered an opportunity to produce, but he declined, as the comedy was inferior to the original trilogy. The movie had a very quiet death, last heard of in August of 2015, when Ed Helms said the script was still being written. In 2017, David Zucker and Pat Proft, a close collaborator, had finished writing the fourth movie. Naked Gun 444 and a quarter. Nordberg did it. Retitled to Naked Impossible. This one was written as a spy parody because, according to Zucker, you need to parody something current, and they just weren't making cop movies in the mid-2010s. For some mysterious reason, the studio decided to not move ahead with it. In 2021, Seth MacFarlane, our modern-day Sinatra trapped in the throes of adult comedy, was hired to develop the movie with a budget of $42 million. It was his idea to reel Liam Neeson into the project. Filming started pretty much as soon as the cast was rounded out. Fun fact, Pamela Anderson was up for the role of Tanya Peters in The Final Insult before I went to Anna Nicole Smith. Rest in peace. So what exactly has this movie done to earn ratings so high that it's only second to the original movie? Just before we dive into that, give me 20 seconds to let you know that Sammarillion is a completely independent channel with no generative AI being used to make my videos. I'm also just barely getting off the ground here. If you like this video, if you're seeing it at all because YouTube apparently hates long form, please subscribe and help me make $1 million on coffee. Without further ado, Frank Drebin Jr., presumably the baby born at the end of The Final Insult, is a very old 30-year-old. It's a running gag throughout this movie that 70-year-old Liam Neeson was born in the mid-90s. There's plenty of dialogue where all of it's nostalgic for stuff from that time period, like The Black Eyed Peas, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Tebow, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
get retarded in here.
The movie starts with Frank foiling a bank robbery while dressed as a schoolgirl. That's the aforementioned humiliation ritual I heard about. He straight up eats a robber's gun, mangles the group, and arrests them. It's a really solid scene. Later, Frank investigates a fatal car crash, learning that the victim, Simon Davenport, was an employee of a technology corporation. After meeting the man's sister, Beth, a writer who suspects homicide.
Yes, I write true crime novels based on fictional stories that I make up.
Frank goes to Eden Tech and meets billionaire Richard Kane, who has a matchbook that has the same emblem on it as one that Frank found at Simon's death scene. Kane invites Trevor to visit the club and donates a self-driving car to him. It's basically a Cybertruck down to the human destruction.
For this, the finger. Without further ado,
Kane reveals to his billionaire friends the plot device. That's the actual name. It's short for Primordial Law of Toughness, which was actually the working title of this movie. The plot device basically shoots out some frequencies that make people go crazy. The idea is for the billionaires to hide in Kane's bunker while the now primitive poors cull their own population. It's very reminiscent of the whole "remember when America was a country of 100 million" trend, where Twitter users were saying TND would be great even if it made the population go down. I'm not the only one who remembers that, am I? Kane even says it's to make the world like it was before, when things were better. At Kane's club, Frank beats up Cody Rhodes. He then meets Kane and Beth on a plot. It's quickly coordinated by Frank and Beth while she distracts Kane with noises. Frank sneaks into the security office and reviews footage from the night of Simon's death. Frank finds out that Simon was meeting a journalist that night, and that Kane was involved in the bank robbery from the beginning of the movie. Frank is subsequently suspended by his boss. When he returns home, Beth helps him clean up, which he hadn't done all that well since his wife died. An employee of Kane's watches with a thermal camera that makes everything look fun in a different way than it really is. Even the dog gets involved. The scene where Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson proceed to have a threesome with a snowman and tragically had to kill him afterwards, completely out of left field. The next day, Frank visits the journalist only to find out he is already dead. And then Frank sets himself up as the perpetrator by accident. He escapes the police only to find that his self-driving car is a death trap created by Kane to dispatch of any sympathizers of the poors. It's how he killed Simon Davenport. Frank tries desperately to escape only to end up trapped with 1,000 balloons and violent bees. Then, in a rescue scene that's more relevant now than when the scene was filmed, Clippy saves the day. Guess it's true what they say, Clippy would never let your self-driving car throw you into the ocean to drown. Just kidding, I made that up. Props to Clippy though, and to Louise Rossman for reviving the little guy. Frank gets patched up at Beth's place, but soon suspects her as a conspirator. Though I think he was more heartbroken by losing all the Buffy episodes he saved on his TiVo due to Beth plugging it into the internet. Beth had a landline for all of 5 seconds, which Frank snaps into after getting a call like it's a burner phone. With help from Ed, the son of Captain Ed Hawken from the original trilogy, Frank kidnaps and interrogates the peeping Tom from earlier, recreating the whole fake room from Mission Impossible 6. Now there's a UFC, I mean WWFC, match going on while New York's ball drops for the new year, and the entire world gets to see Liam Neeson's balls on live TV. He gets his pants back on and starts biting children, which is funny because usually those types would have kept their pants off. Anyways, Beth gets captured during all this because she tries to assassinate Kane using a method from one of her books, so Frank has to save her too. But first she has to fight all the crazy people who are killing each other because of the plot device. At one point he even starts beating some guy's wiener. He sees the owl that he prayed for in the beginning of the movie, and the owl literally carries him to chase the bad guy. The short of it is that Frank beats the bad guy and uses the plot device to calm everyone down by playing Enya. The last gag of the movie is during the credits. Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson are the only ones moving during a freeze frame, and Neeson socks the audience. So is this movie really a good legacy sequel to the Naked Gun series? You read the title, of course it is. I did think the movie felt a little off, so I watched the original movie just to compare, and it mostly comes down to how movies are shot nowadays. The original was on film, it had better lighting, and the camera wasn't always shoved in the actors' faces. Old movies just gave the screen more room to breathe. Other than that, this movie is pretty much what I expected from a first Naked Gun film. The jokes are made for a modern audience, not in the gay Disney way, but in an actual, what does the audience want to see way. I can't stress enough that the humor in this movie is just like the old ones. But what do you guys think? Am I being too easy on this movie? Or do you think it's better than any of the original trilogy? If you survived the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know when you guys would like for me to upload more videos like this. Again, my channel is really small. Like, really small. And I've stated YouTube doesn't really like my long form stuff, so any support is appreciated. Please buy me a coffee as well.
Goodbye.